I have a giant stack of books and I'd like to talk about them. Let me make one thing clear. I know very minimal about all of the books that I bought. Yes, most of them were already on my TBR, but that does not mean that I know any information about them, so we're winging it today. Hi, my name is Kai. If you are new here, welcome. If you are not new here, welcome back, and thank you for returning. This is an accumulation of many bookstore trips. A big chunk of it was from Indie Bookstore Day, but I've also taken quite a few trips to Barnes & Noble since then. We have no online orders to unpack in this haul. These are all from physical bookstores, and I am so excited to dive into them. I have so many that I don't even know where to start, so I'm just going to start with the one I'm currently reading. So if you follow me on any of my other socials, I do keep my current read in my bio, and I am currently in the middle of the Powerless trilogy. I already have the Powerless and Powerful books in hardcover, so I went and picked up Reckless and Fearless. I did get the Barnes & Noble special edition of Fearless because they didn't have the regular one, but I'm kind of irked that the letters are white on my other books and this one's red, but it's okay. I am a little less than halfway through Reckless and I think I'm gonna finish it today. I'm actually surprised I didn't finish it yesterday. And then Fearless. This one came out recently. I think it came out in March or April. I am so upset that people have not peer pressured me more to start this series because, oh my god. Somebody left a comment on one of my previous videos saying that loving an MMC with the same name as you is low-key kind of self-love, and that's how I feel about Kai Azer. I get it. I get it now. I truly get it. Reckless is like 380 pages, I believe. 383 compared to Fearless. Fearless is 592 pages. I had to flip through this and try not to get any spoilers. It's 592 pages, which is like almost double. I would like to finish Reckless and Fearless today. I know that's a stretch and that's a lot. Sidetrack. I did just get my Libby hold for Sunrise on the Reaping, which means it was almost time to binge the Hunger Games series because I have Sunrise on the Reaping now, so I need to wrap up these two bad boys. The next book that I purchased, I've already read through Libby. It is Small Favors by Erin Craig. If you know me, you know how much I love this author. I would read her grocery list. I would read damn near anything this woman writes. She is a genius. She specializes in YA, kind of gothic, horror, fantasy. Most of them are retellings. This one was a retelling of Rumpelstiltskin. My favorite duology so far is House of Salt and Sorrows and House of Roots and Ruin. That one is based off the 12 Dancing Princesses. You will see another Erin Craig book in this pile, and it's the last book I need to read before her newest release comes out in September. But this book has the perfect amount of like eerie, spooky, without being a thriller, though it is very thrilling. Plus, I'm in love with the artwork. I feel like the artwork on all of her books is so captivating and it definitely catches your eye as a new reader. And then also, this is very telling of the scenery and the content that's inside of the book. Next, we have Brewed with Love by Shelley Page. This one is a sapphic, witchy romance. It's pretty short. It's only about 320 pages, but I picked this one up during Indie Bookstore Day because I was looking for another cutesy romance to add to my TBR. As you know, I'm a fantasy girly who is starting to kind of like make her way into her romance era, but I will always come back to fantasy. I feel that romances and thrillers do tend to be more of like palette cleansers for me, and I feel that this book would be perfect because one, it's short, and two, it seems like very lighthearted, and a lot of fantasies do have like very heavy topics. So Sage Bishop is our main character in this book, and her family runs an apothecary. She is a plant witch, and her dream is to take over the family business one day. And while she is trying her best to keep her family business open until she's able to take over, I think this is like an ex-best friends to lovers kind of moment. I'm really excited to see how this story unfolds. It seems really interesting, and I think I may use this as a palette cleanser between Powerless and The Hunger Games. The next book that I picked up is Foundry Side by Robert Jackson Bennett. This book has been on my TBR for over 2 years, and now that I have a physical copy of it, I have no excuse but to start it. I believe this is a trilogy, and just the cover art is what kind of drew me to it, and the fact that it has a very unique magic system and apparently very complex characters. But the cover art reminds me of the video game Stray, and I absolutely loved the sci-fi elements in that game, and I'm hoping that it gives like similar vibes. Apparently in this story they use a special type of like magical technology called scriving, where they can imbue just like everyday objects with sentience. That's what I'm getting from the synopsis on the back of the book. And that is just so interesting because I've not personally read any magic systems that both use technology and magic. Another sidetrack, I was raised on both Lord of the Rings and Star Trek, so fantasy and sci-fi definitely hold a special place in my heart. I have been lacking a little bit on the sci-fi side of things. I just talked about the space horror romance that I read in April, and I'm kind of hoping to get into my sci-fi era soon. I think this is like the perfect bridge between magic and sci-fi. The next one we have is Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I am actually about 100 pages into this book, and I've put it on pause because my Libby hold expired, and that's why I decided to pick it up, because I wanted to finish the story. This is like a very high fantasy, epic fantasy, I guess you could say. I mean, the cover alone is crazy, and it even wraps around the rest of the book. This is a trilogy, and several book creators that I trust opinions of really loved this trilogy, so I'm excited to dive back into this world because this is such a high fantasy. This is one that you cannot turn your brain off to. You do have to use a bit of brain juice to get through it because it is very immersive, but the world is very unique and there's a lot of terminology and a lot of world building that you have to get through to really understand the plot and the story. I am predicting this is going to be a god tier series for me, just based on what I've read so far and the cover. It is giving me what I have been craving since I was introduced to The Lord of the Rings for the very first time. This is the kind of epic fantasy that I have been waiting for. We are on to our next Erin Craig book, The 13th Child. I do not know which story this is a retelling of. I just know that it is one, and I don't want to spoil it for myself because I love reading Erin Craig's books and trying to figure out what story it's based on. I really want to go into this one blind, but from what I can understand from the synopsis of this book, our main character Hazel is promised to the god of death as the 13th child, and I believe he gives her powers of a healer, and she's able to see when a patient is going to die or their cause of death or something of the sort. It does seem a lot darker than Small Favors, but I'm excited. I know that no matter how this plot unfolds, I'm going to love it. I love everything that Erin Craig writes. And just based on the cover, like you can see there's like skulls. It's giving me like Hades underworld kind of vibes. So that's what I'm gonna guess that the background of the story is about. Next, we have First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. This one is very interesting. I actually heard about this one through TikTok. Surprise, but I wanted to pick this one up because this one was also recommended by the same creator who recommended Out on a Limb to me, and I loved that book. First Time Caller is about, I believe, a single mom and her daughter and a romance radio show host, and the daughter of the woman calls the radio show host trying to set up like a date for her mom, and then something goes down where it's the mom and the radio show host, and that just seems like such a meet cute in my opinion. But a lot of people who read this book rated it very highly, so I'm excited. I'm not a romance girl by heart, but I am not opposed to a good story. Next, we have The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. I have not read any works by this author yet, but I have heard many great things. I've wanted to read Ninth House and Hellbent for a while, and I am 90% sure she's also the author of the Grishaverse, which people are constantly recommending to me. But honestly, it was the vibes and the cover and just the entire look of this book that made me pick it up. I actually do have the Kindle version from Libby on this book as well, so I think I'm going to read it on my Kindle. If I'm being honest, I don't know what this book is about. I'm reading the synopsis and it's giving me like kings, magic, but also science. And it's based in Madrid. It says royal court. I'm wondering if this is like a Victorian era. Just like, I mean, based on her, you know, this hand right here is giving like kind of vibes. And I hear royal court, I think like kings and queens, but I'm intrigued. I'm interested. If I do get to this book this month, you will definitely hear my thoughts about it. I have high hopes because if a book has a pretty cover, I am expecting the story to be good as well. Crossing our fingers on that one. These next two books are books that actually came out 2 days ago on May 6th. First, we have Silver Elite by Dani Francis. This is a dystopian romance. People have been saying that it is very like adult Hunger Games, but I hate when people start comparing one book series to another, because then I get expectations, and if it's not going to give me that same thrill and like nostalgia that I get from the Hunger Games, I'm not gonna like it. So I'm trying my best to not look at too many reviews of this book, but I did want to jump on the bandwagon because I was getting a little bit of FOMO. They have metallic edges and a beautiful cover. There is a map inside. I'm very excited for this one. I'm not sure if it's a series or a standalone, but I guess we'll find out together. And then we have Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know a single thing about this book. I know it's pretty and I know everybody's been talking about it, but again, going into this blind, the end pages are beautiful. Let's see if there's a map. And there is a map. We love a book with a map. But again, this is another one that has been going crazy on TikTok recently, and I would love to come to my own conclusion about this book, which is again why I am trying my best not to read too many reviews about it. There's been so much hype around both of these books that I have to pick them up so that I can avoid spoilers and again come to my own conclusions and have my own thoughts about these books. I would love to do a reading vlog with these two books if you are interested in hearing my thoughts about it. If you're not interested, I'm still going to give you my thoughts about it. It is my birthday month and I do have another anticipated release coming out, which is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. So maybe we'll wait 2 weeks for that book to come out. Maybe we'll do like a special 12-hour, 24-hour readathon for these 3 books. I think that would be very exciting and such a vibe. Now, for these last 4 books that I have, I actually got during Indie Bookstore Day. They were a gift from my local indie bookstore, and I have 4 arcs. Let's get into them. First one is a very anticipated book. I believe it is out in other countries, but it is not out in the US yet. It is Cruel is the Light by Sophie Clark. This one is kind of like Exorcist versus Demons. I'm pretty sure it's a romantasy. I think it's more of like a rivals to lovers. I know very little about this book, just that it is pretty anticipated. This one comes out on May 20th. I am trying my best to get to this book before the release date, but honestly, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to finish it before then. I'm about 100 pages in, and I just have so many books that I'm currently reading. This one is kind of low on the priority list, but nonetheless, the artwork is amazing, and I don't think I've read anything else by Sophie Clark. This may even be her debut novel. Not 100% sure, but that's our first arc. This next one is Work Nights by Erica Peplin. This is another author that I have not read anything by yet. The back says Sally Rooney meets Devil Wears Prada. It's based in New York City. This is a very short read, but this seems more of like a romance drama, contemporary, kind of office crush type of romance vibes. This one comes out on June 17th. This one actually does seem very interesting. Again, might be like another palette cleanser between the many fantasy books that I am in the middle of. This one is called Palm Meridian. This one is based in Florida. It is on sale on June 10th. This one is very interesting because it is set in a retirement home. I don't know if that means that our main characters are quite a bit older, but as somebody who reads books about like several hundred to several thousand-year-old people, this is nothing. I think this is going to be a very cute story. This may be a little bit heavy because from what I understand, the main character does have a cancer diagnosis, and I think this is kind of like an end-of-life novel. So again, probably I'm going to go into this blind. I'm not sure when I'm going to pick it up, but definitely will have to go into this book with an open mind. And the last arc that I have is Ed and Glassy by Melissa Lukashenko. This one is a historical novel, historical fiction, colonial fiction, something of the sorts, and it is based on Australian history. This one also has a map. Very interesting. I don't typically gravitate towards historical fiction, but I am not opposed to it. This one is apparently 2 separate stories that are kind of like mashed into one, and they span over 5 generations. I would love to know more about this. I don't think I should go into this one blind. I do think I should do a little bit of research on this before delving into it. That way I really understand what is going on in the topics of the story and all that jazz. It says, derived from a combination of Edinburgh and Glasgow, Ed and Glassy was the name of the penal colony that became Brisbane. Place of stray dogs, mangroves, horse dung, mud, dust, and bullocks, tar bales, brutality. Very heavy on that historical fiction aspect. So those are all of the books that I have accumulated so far this spring. I am very, very thankful for the arcs that I received from my local indie bookstore and just my ability to purchase books and read all of these stories and share my thoughts with you and have them received. I will be forever thankful. Thank you so much for watching me talk for this long. If you've watched till the end, comment the butterfly emoji. I don't think we have a moth emoji, but I'm very much anticipating The Night and the Moth, and that's what's been on my mind recently. But yeah, with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.